This podcast is sponsored by Velo Yellow, providing bike transport to events across Europe. Supported also by Fear the Turtle Triathlon Coaching, Conway Cycles and Vitalise Omagh. Contact details available in the episode description.
Hi folks, welcome to episode 79, and today I'm joined by Sean Conway. Sean, thank you very much for agreeing to come on to the podcast.
Thanks, Mickey, for having me.
Sean, you and I go back a right while. I was just thinking before we went live there, it's well over 10 years ago whenever you and I clocked eyes on each other. We were admiring each other's tattoos in the leisure centre whenever we were lining up in lane 3, possibly.
It probably was.
Yeah, with the Omagh Tri Club. So we've known each other for a right while. Firstly, before we get into the whole journey, but I just want to say a special thank you to yourself for your support over the years. And you are one of the podcast sponsors, and very thankful and grateful for that. And we'll be putting a wee link in the description tagged to your coaching business, which we will talk about later on in the show. For anybody that doesn't know the name of Fear the Turtle, this is the man behind the plan, and we'll come to that later.
Yeah,
Sean, you've been doing triathlon for a long time. We've a cracking episode ahead of us. Lots and lots and lots of stuff to talk about. But sure. I know that you've got a lot of things that you did before triathlon, and I'm quite eager to explore that. So let's go back in time and talk me through Sean Conway before that fateful night in the leisure centre.
Before we clocked eyes in those ways, Mickey. My background was motocross and supermoto for the best part of 10, 12 years. And to be quite honest, if I was given the chance and had the body again, I'd go back to do it again. I loved everything about it. Probably the most physically demanding sports that I've ever done. And but the injuries clock up, and I'm not Peter Pan, and I don't bounce as well as I used to. So that quickly became a non-runner when you have more responsibilities and have to grow up. And I kind of fell into triathlon rather than found it, really, to be quite honest. But yeah.
It sounds like you had a few falls then, by the sounds of it, Sean. But here, I'm a wee bit green and a bit naive about motocross and all that. So, what exactly is all? Is this dirt bikes and staging around doing all that crazy jumps and all that stuff?
It'll be a wee bit of that, surely. It'll be mainly off-road stuff that I would have done up around Desert Martin, particularly Donegal. I'd have raced there. We went to Scotland and Belgium to race too. A lot of stuff in England, all off-road, anything with a jump. And then supermoto is a cross between, it's a bit like rallycross for motorbikes, tarmac and gravel. And that's kind of where I found myself really enjoying it, and done not too bad. But it's also, with higher speed comes a quicker stopping. You stop a wee bit quicker. And a wee bit more suddenly, and that kind of threw the thing off balance a wee bit.
So you obviously had a couple of spills, did you, over the years, or was it a regular thing?
I have. I can't remember what year it is now, but I got knocked out at a race, and I woke up a few days later. And as you do, you try and appease your parents. So you ring your mother and you tell her that you're only staying up in Belfast with friends. Little do you know that she knew you were already knocked out for about 2.5 days or 3 days previous to the phone call. So things like that, a couple of broken bones, and you get the bell rung a wee bit.
I've always said it that there's a very fine line between a hardy buck and a buck Egypt, and
I know what camp I fall into.
So, good stuff, Sean. So the motocross obviously it was an exciting thing,
Yeah,
adrenaline, an element, danger.
yeah.
What was it then that brought you towards triathlon whenever you weren't able to continue with the biking?
Um, Truthfully, it wasn't as aggressive on the body. I was already doing the swimming, the cycling, and the running. As individual things, swimming is something I've been doing since I was 3 years old in the lake. And actually wouldn't really swim in a pool if I could get away with it. Um, so I was doing them individually, and an old friend, Kieran Byrne, that used to do triathlon, he suggested going down to Loch McCrory for an evening on a Thursday, and I found that there was more buck Egypts down there too, so it seemed to fit in well enough, and the crack was good. It's not that there was no pressure, but the only pressure that you were doing was putting onto yourself, and um, it's not you didn't have 30 people darting past you. You had several hundred people that were cheering you on. There's nobody looking to square you off in a corner and leave you in a heap. Oh well, if you chat or look at some of Mickey Holland stuff and Conor McGuire stuff, they're right good at sledging each other too. Um, but genuinely, it was just softer on the body. And I just fell in love with it really from then on.
There's a wee bit of that that resonates with me, and it's the bit about there was a number of buck Egypts up about Loch McCrory, because before I joined the club, I would have been a keen angler, and I know you done a bit of fishing as well, and we would have
I did,
spoken about fishing in our days,
yeah.
trips around rivers and lakes and whatnot. But there's many's an evening I would have went up to the loch there with a fly rod on a nice summer's evening, waiting for the sun to settle, and lo and behold, the place would be full of these Egypts in fucking wetsuits, and I'd be thinking to myself, well, there's no point me bloody fishing here now for trout, for these clowns are going to have them all the fish scared away. And lo and behold, I've crossed to the dark side, and I'm one of them buck Egypts now. Like, so it all kind of comes full circle.
Yeah.
So I have your timeline here. You were about 30 years of age, Sean, you first got into triathlon. Talk me through that journey, getting yourself established and maybe ticking off a few events.
It was really just to say I done one, and it was the Liam Ball, I think, was the first one. And to be honest, it was shite. I enjoyed it, but um, I swam like a stone and I cycled like a fish out of water. So, but it was you against you really. That was the bit that was the drug that kept me coming back really.
Mhm.
And you knew if you could beat even by a minute or a second, then there was a bit of progress. So it was that kept me coming back. Then after Liam Ball, it was the James McManus, and from then it was the Omagh Try, and I done Loch Cultra or Cultra, the one the Castle Triathlon Series one. So
Mhm.
I went from a super sprint to a 70.3 in I don't know handful of months really. I booked it and didn't really think much of what I needed to do any training, to be quite honest, and I kind of ended up in the deep end fairly quickly and needed to learn how to cycle and run a lot better. So the club was very good with the sessions that I had on, and it suited time wise. And yeah, there were a lot of encouraging people there. Um, you had Sean Healy, Liam McDermott, GT, people like that there. That Connor and Etta, you could list off a ball of people there that you'd think, oh, well, I'm 30 years of age, I should be beating these boys, and those boys absolutely spanking you uh, at their ease. And I enjoyed the banter too. So that's what got me into it, and it's also what kept me in it really. Without, it's quite easy to fall into just going out on your own, but it's nice to have people to push you on to go to them races, keep the races alive. It's the same core people that are maybe running a club or running an event, and when they're showing that passion, it's kind of easy to get hooked on it very easily.
Yeah, there's a great sense of passion and pride within the club, and it is infectious. And you strike me, if you don't mind me saying so, you strike me as a sort of an all or nothing type of a guy. You know,
Uh,
you're all in,
yeah,
and
it's whole
all in.
hog or no bacon.
That's because what we're going to talk about next is your event, your first big charity event that I know of,
Mhm.
with regards to your triathlon journey. Talk us through the thinking behind this event. Give the listeners a bit of a flavour of the idea, how you came up with this idea, and then maybe how it all worked out.
Well, actually, it came off a chance conversation with Sean Conway, the adventurer, and James Lawrence, the Iron Cowboy. I'd seen some of their stuff, and Sean had done a talk somewhere, and he just said, "Why not?" Really. So I'd done a couple of sprints at that stage, and I thought, well, one's not too bad. What's it like doing one after another? So we called it the 30-30, and that's not strictly true. I never counted the day I started, and I never counted the last day. So it ended up being 32 triathlons, but I'm not going to change the branding now. It was 30-30, 30 consecutive sprint triathlons. The last one was actually an Olympic distance to tie in with a local 10K that was happening, so we done that. And we done it for Ellie's Retreat down in Castle Archdale, and the Fuck Cancer campaign. A friend of mine's father passed away, so we done it for those. Or sorry, that one was for ARC, Healthy Living Centre. They help people with addiction and things like that, and families as well. And we managed to raise £3,030 for each charity. So there was a bit of synchronicity in the title of it, and synchronicity in the money that was raised. And we got a lot of people from Omagh Club came down, and we tried to include as many people in as we could really on any given night. And um, if I could go back and do it again, I would. And I'll never say never of doing, if not 30, maybe 50 days or something like that there, or 60 days, or see how many I could do really. I'll never close the door on that one, so I wouldn't. I loved every element of it. Truthfully, it was probably the most rewarding experience out of all of the challenges that I've done.
And how did you actually get on with it yourself? Was there a point when you were in it and you were thinking, oh, I can't be bothered getting up to do this, or I wish I hadn't have signed up?
Yeah, pretty much the first 7, 8 days, you're like, I'm never going to get this finished. Because I don't know how you might see events, or even you've done a couple of marathons maybe, and everybody goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whereas I go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So if I know I've 30 days, well, I've only 29 left, 28 left. So I just broke it down to the smallest denomination that I could, and that was when we had one of the swims was in Cache, and I knew that it was 6 lengths, so I only have 6 lengths to do, and then I only have to cycle a wee bit. And I think the more I broke it down, the easier it became, and then it became more routine. And when it became routine, and you had people around you, it became fun. Not going to lie, there was a few injuries, a few niggles that just wouldn't go away. Uh, Lorcan Healy was a big help there when he was peak performance at one stage. I think he still does a wee bit of physio work. So he made the shoulder stay in. He made the feet go one foot in front of the other. So I was very grateful for a lot of people that maybe give more than what was recognized to help. And I think that's even with your podcast, there's more people listening to it than what you might realize, and they get a bit of crack out of it, and it helps and inspires people too. So you mightn't always see the people that help you, or support you.
Good stuff. Brilliant stuff. And solid advice with regards to working out a strategy, a mental plan to kind of
Yeah,
navigate something that would potentially overwhelm you. So
yeah,
breaking it down into manageable chunks is the way to go.
yeah.
Um, 2018 then, we moved from local events. You went to a big event, your Challenge Madrid. Didn't
Yes.
quite go to plan, Sean. So
No,
tell us what
no.
happened in Madrid.
So Madrid, Challenge Madrid is a full distance iron or triathlon. Better not get the brands mixed up. Full distance triathlon. Loved the swim. Happy with it. Got into the Sierra Nevada National Park. Scorcher of a day. Almost hotter than what we have here, and just tons of humidity. And they have the big, massive V-drain ditches either side of the road. The bike took a bit of a head stagger. I wasn't fully paying attention to where I was. I clipped something on the road and I woke up in a Spanish hospital with Spanish people talking to me, and I knew I was in cuckoo land. So the bike broke. I had at the time my father's number wrote on my watch. So they managed to ring him back in Ireland so that he could ring my brother that was out with me in Spain to alert the authorities that I had crashed essentially. I was in a bit of a no man's land, so yeah, it took a wee while for people to find me, but I still have a few demons with that one to get round. I might have to go back and face it and beat it sometime.
Obviously, a very nasty spill.
Yeah.
Um, and it didn't put you off, or did it? Did it spook you for a while? Did you think, "Fuck this cycling, carry on"? Because let's not
No.
forget, you give up the engine powered bikes because this would be easier on the body, and lo and behold, here you are now in a ditch, thinking about phoning your ma again and giving her some cock and bull story that you're at a party.
I, no is the short answer. You know, if you were afraid every time you got hurt, you wouldn't do an awful lot. Um, so getting hurt has never really been a problem. I suppose when I was younger, going racing, my dad would have always said, if you understand the risk and it can accept them, then you know, on your own head bait, that you'd always have their support. So that's kind of, I understand the risks, I understand the consequences, and I was content with them, and that's in any walk of life. Doesn't matter if it's triathlon or not. I've always lived by that, and it served me not too bad up until this point, anyway.
It's a good way of being, if you don't test yourself, how will you find out?
And that's it. Yeah.
Um, you know what I mean? So, look, moving on then, took a bit of R&R after that, a bit of healing, lay down, lick the wounds for a wee while.
Lick the wounds, lick the wounds.
Yeah. 2019 comes round and you have another plan. This time you're going, you went big with the Challenge Madrid effort and you
Yeah.
decided that you were going to go big again. Talk us through 2019 because this one was a biggie.
Yeah, it was the biggest, I think the longest triathlon in Ireland at the time. I don't know if anybody's done something similar since, but um, so it ended up being a 16K swim, um, 4 laps of Loch Earn and on the bike and 1 lap running it. So it's 85K a lap. So whatever 485s comes to, I don't know what that sum is in my head, just off the top of it. But
I know
uh,
it's 340 kilometers of a bike.
well, there you go, 340.
So 16K swim, a 340K bike, and an 85K run.
Yeah.
What in under Christ were you thinking about whenever you decided that this is going to be a plan? Presumably there was another charity effort here, and
Yeah. Yeah.
kudos to you, by the way, Sean, and fair play to you. I have been watching, and I know a lot of other people will have seen all your fundraising efforts over the years. So well done for all that, sincerely.
Appreciate it.
But talk me through that event. How did you prepare for something as mad and wacky as that? Because that's a lot of kilometers right there.
Not as extreme as what you think, to be quite honest. Most of my training is I'm a more of a relaxed athlete or coach. I don't know how best to describe that, but my events shouldn't feel like work. They shouldn't feel like a job. They shouldn't feel that they've engrossed every aspect of my life. Yes, the lifestyle is very all engaging, but I do enjoy myself. I do enjoy a pint. I do enjoy a steak and a burger and all the rest of it. And I treated the long triathlon just like 470.3s. So I just trained for 170.3 essentially.
Mhm.
And I knew after swimming's been my passion for a long time. So the swimming wasn't the one that really was gripping me. It was time in the saddle, and time on feet. So I knew if I broke it down to, okay, I just have to do 1 lap of the lock and then another lap. So that's again whatever that word is, decompartmentalizing it into the smallest bit that I could comprehend for myself. That's
Mhm.
what I done, and yeah, that's how I treated it. On both of those events, you lose an awful lot of weight. So I lost about 21 kilos over the 30 days or 32 days. Um, the first time, and I lost about 16 kilos on this one, on that one. Um, and that is the biggest thing that people sometimes forget is the eating side of it. Uh, I'm a fairly stocky fella, I'd think average build, and I relied solely on fat as my source to work from, and it served me well enough. And again, it's just the mental side of it, breaking it down to the smallest component you can.
Um, there's always scope for something to go wrong
Yep,
in any race.
yep.
And the longer you go, the more scope there is, the more chance there is of something going wrong. Was that playing in your mind? Were you worried about things going wrong? I suspect not, but did anything actually go
No,
wrong? Was there any hiccups? Did it all go
uh,
according to plan?
I collapsed on the run. I broke. I didn't know it at the time. But I had a small hairline fracture in my shin about sort of 55, 60 k in. I didn't realize it, just thought it was shin splints. But quickly after that sort of uh, leg started swelling, I knew I was in a wee bit of bother, but I knew I'd only sort of 10 or 12, 13 mile to go. And I just said, fuck it. If it's gonna fall apart, it's gonna fall apart well. And I don't really like quitting things. I'd rather be stretchered off than walk off. And
Mhm.
that's kind of what happened. We started and finished in Castle Archdale, and as soon as I finished, I was given an ice cream, and we had a couple of medics there. They put me in the back of the car, brought me straight up to the SWA, and I was given a set of crutches and told, "Well done, but you're a bit of a dick for doing that."
Yeah, that's bed rest. Don't let
Yeah,
this boy anywhere near a pair of gutties again.
no, no, but that's the only real setback. I had my brother, the whole family really involved. Brother was doing traffic management, stopping the cars at junctions and roundabouts. Parents were doing food stops. Sisters were doing timekeeping. Other friends were doing other things. I'm just the one that gets to act like an athlete and a bit of a bollocks at times.
Mhm.
It's those people that are standing in the rain and they're giving you encouragement when maybe they only get to see you for a few seconds. But that's all it really can take sometimes to go from a real shitty mood to turn it around, that you think, fuck it, I can still do it. They believe in me. So you kind of need to believe in yourself too a wee bit to start and finish them.
After that long effort then back in 2019, you presumably just stayed local then and enjoyed the local scene.
Yep.
Um, and then you found yourself in 2022 on a World Triathlon Series in Leeds now. I remember this at the time, and I don't know exactly how it happened from memory, but I remember thinking, here's a lad here lining up with all these pros, and I got a vibe from you that you were absolutely buzzing about it. Like I seem to remember you were really really super excited about getting this opportunity just to be on the same start line as all these legends.
Yeah.
Talk me through the whole process about how you ended up in that position.
Uh, to be honest, it's all a bit of a fluke. And that's no word of a lie. Um, my cousin married a Yorkshireman. His friends were in a tri club over in Yorkshire. Uh, they were given access to entries to the World Triathlon Series. One fella couldn't take it. He offered it to me. I took it at, without even a second thought, and absolutely loved it. My only claim to fame is Johnny Brownlee crashed out, and at least I finished the race ahead of Johnny Brownlee. But no, honestly, probably the most professionally organized event that I've ever been to. Um, just a real athlete's buzz, real great crowd, very well supported all the way around. Really challenging course, the Yorkshire Dales. Them hills are no joke, but so scenic, so beautiful, great city, great people. And if I was given the opportunity to go back, I'd definitely do that one again. Maybe with a bit more preparation and training, and give it a wee bit more preparation and skills than maybe I don't have at the minute to give a better account of things.
You're going back then, we're back in Ireland. Is this around the same time then as the coaching business started to take over? Where does the coaching aspect start to slot into the timeline?
So, right at the very start, basically, of my triathlon journey, when I took a very big crash, um, separated muscles and bones and stuff like that there, and was at home for quite a lot of it. Always had an interest in sport, so I was doing a course at night for coaching, and then I just decided that I'd switch it a wee bit and go into more triathlon based coaching and setup, and that's what I done. And that was pretty much the same year, 20, 2013, 2014, in and around that the coaching started. Uh, Omagh's been very good to me, but there's nothing local to me. Omagh, Loch Macrory's still 45 minutes to an hour away. And I found that there was people locally that wanted to go swimming and cycling and running, and Fear the Turtle sort of popped its head up from that.
Fear the Turtle. Now, where did we get the name of Fear the Turtle? It's a really catchy thing. It's a very unusual thing. There's a Class way logo. And I love seeing the suits. I see the tri suits at the events and all.
Yeah,
And the reason that I love seeing the suits is because I know everybody has come through your academy as such. You know, there's a sprinkling of you in them
yeah,
athletes at the event, and you can see that they're enjoying it. And I know that
yeah,
that's something precious to you.
it is. Yeah,
And it tells in the athletes wearing the Fear the Turtle try colours.
yeah.
Because they are giving each other high fives, they are always smiling, they're cheering each other on. Talk us through the whole Fear the Turtle. What's all that about? Where did it come from?
So you're going back to the very start of it. So, Mickey, a friend of mine, Jonathan Hunter, we were in Amsterdam for a weekend, a few of us, and we seen the Rome Marathon advertised somewhere. Couldn't tell you where. And we both said, fuck it, that looks like a great idea. Not knowing, we went in February to Amsterdam, and Rome Marathon was the middle of March. So we decided we'd book it, not realizing that it was only 6 weeks apart. We went, we made a complete clown of ourselves. Uh, Never been to Rome, never been to Italy, never couldn't cope with the heat. You had two very pasty white men looking very red in about 15 minutes. But there was this older, I'll not say old, but an older gentleman, German lad, with this load of writing down his back and a wee turtle at the bottom. And we couldn't catch him. He must have been 65, 70 years of age. We just couldn't. So we got to the finish line. We caught up with him. We spoke to him. And I just happened to say, what is that on your back? What does it say? And it said some blah, blah. I can't remember the first part of it, but then it was Fear the Turtle. And turned out that he was a German ultra runner, and marathons is his training ground. And from there, it just never left that a turtle's always first home. It carries its home on its back. It's never lost. It can float. It's a hardy wee animal, and it'll outpace anybody with time. So I was like, fuck, that's class. I like that. And it kind of stuck, and that's kind of where it that came about. There was about 6 or 7 years the difference between the marathon and actually it's becoming a business really.
I'm gonna do a very clever link now because, of course, the turtle is an aquatic creature. And
Yes.
taking you right back to the beginning again, you've told us already that you were fond of the swimming. I'm
Yep.
going to bring you then now to your next big event. Was a big
Yep.
swim challenge back in 2024.
Yep.
Talk us through the preparation for that one, the sort of the thinking behind it, and the charities and all that sort of stuff. What's your memories looking back on that big event?
Yeah, geez. So we actually lost a child in that period, and the charity that helped us was the Simba charity, and I didn't know anything else how to help or raise awareness for the charity or what to do or how to help. And I thought, right, well, what can I do physically? Can I do to bring awareness to them? So I said, I'll just swim. And I didn't have any plan of swimming from Enniskillen to Bleak, which is a 50k swim. I'd no way, I'd actually never done it, never thought of it that way. But plenty of people had done wee bits. Some had swam 5k and 5k and the whole way down, but nobody had ever swam the whole lot. So there's a famous swimmer from Enniskillen, Ted Keenan, and there's the Ted Keenan Mile that happens every year around the Lakeland Forum and Castle Island. And it sort of brewed then, well, what happens if I start the other side of the Loch Gates or down at Devenish? And what happens if I swim to Bleak? What's the worst that could happen? And I talked it over with my family, and they just shook their heads basically and was like, not a chance. Can you not give it a rest for a wee while? But it gnawed at me that much. And a friend of mine in the club, Connor McCabe, Connor, he was like, fuck it. And I was like, fuck it. And he goes, once he just said that when you're a dog with a bone, you're not going to let it go. And between him and myself and one or two others, we kind of drafted a bit of a plan. We got friends of mine are in the Irish Coast Guard, others are in the RNLA, others are doctors, medics. I talked to everybody. Um, some thought it wasn't possible in one go, but I'm happy to say that that's not the case and that you can if you really want to.
Again, you have this sort of determination, this will to get the job done, and a stubbornness, if you will.
Oh
Other
yeah,
people
it's
will
definitely
refer
a
to it
stubbornness.
as a resilience, but there's locally here we'll say is a thranness about you,
A trans,
um,
yeah,
and it's a good thing. But that is a long swim.
yeah,
Um, Talk me through that in terms of just energy, moving the body, the cold, feeding. I mean, that's a massive undertaking. That a
yeah,
lot of preparation presumably went into this
yeah.
one, probably a wee bit more so than the other ones.
Probably the most of anything I've ever done. So we had two boats. One was a boat for me to um sort of for supplies, all of that. And then another boat was a medic boat, really. And the two of them, one was in front, so that I had something to sight to, and the other one was just behind. And then I had a canoeist on one side or the other. And in total, there was about 16, 17 people involved in that. So it took a lot of management. Feeding was getting. I got out of the boat or got out of the water and onto the boat to eat, rather than trying to eat in the water. Hypothermia was a big thing. Uh, yeah, I had to leave a wee note with a friend of mine, Barry Palmer, to basically, no matter what I am telling him, remember the note and just fire me back into the water, no matter what anybody else is saying. That was between me and him. Um, but yeah, they took me out of wetsuits, put me into drier wetsuits, tried to warm me up between. I broke it down into like 5 and 6k swim distances that I was getting something to eat or drink regularly. But yeah, it was the cold I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that. My shoulder popped out a couple of times, so the medic boat was putting it back in, and we literally used duct tape on my skin suit to keep the shoulder somewhat in a position that you could use it. Um, so yeah, it was a. I'll not have to do that one twice. I definitely wouldn't be doing that one twice. But if anybody wants to do it, I'll certainly help them. But as for me, I think that distance was just it's as much as I want to do. Even though I still love swimming, it it was it was up there with wanting to stop now.
The hypothermia is a real thing. What time of year did you do that swim at then?
So it was the tail end of September.
Right. You're coming into the autumn then, and Irish
Yeah,
summers
yeah.
aren't that,
No,
you
there's
know, it's,
few and far between and fairly short. So I had
and
hoped that the water was warm enough without the algae. Uh, tried to tie in with sort of people are off, and it gave me enough of a lead in to train for it as well.
it's a massive body of water that you're swimming
Yeah,
in there as well. You know, it's a huge, huge lump of water,
yeah,
and very, very deep as well. So it's going to hold that cold temperature probably fairly well the whole year round.
yeah.
The other thing as well that people don't really realize, they think about swimming in a lake's a lot calmer and it's nice and serene. And I think when people say that, they're maybe thinking about a wee pond or a wee fishery or something.
No,
That loch that you were swimming in can throw it up. And there's
it
actually
can.
there's a lifeboat. There's an RNLI station on Loch Erin as well, such as,
Yeah,
you know, the treacherous waves and conditions that can be seen
yeah.
on the loch. Was there anything that you had to contend with in that respect?
Yeah, so I don't know if everybody calls it this, but locally we call it the Broadlock, and that's it goes from Tully Castle over to Muckross direction. So it's about 9 mile wide, and the water just or the wind just whips across uh Loch Navarre and just picks up speed. So you know you have always changeable waves. There no two's ever the same. If Ballyshannon open and the current's pulling you down, if it's not, it just feels like a bath where the water gets to the bottom and swaps back up. So the chop there was like swimming in treacle. Uh, it was painful, and there's no reference points. You know, you have the main road on one side, and you have the outline of trees on the other, which is you know, you're 4.5 miles from shore in either direction. And yeah, when you have no reference points, it's a very lonely place. And when you're in the water, you know yourself, your phone's not ringing, you have no music, you know, you're there with your own thoughts all the time. Um, and that for a lot of it was as big of a challenge as physically. You know, the mental side of that was probably the toughest I've ever done.
And did you deliberately decide that you would shoot down the middle of the loch, or was there a reason you did that? You just went for the direct route rather than maybe
No,
hugging a
I
coastline
did
or
hug.
something?
So the first half, I hugged um, Bow Island side of it. So that side of the loch, purely for a logistic point of view, for people wanting to join the swim, supplies on and off the boat. There's more chances of catching that on that side. Once you got as far as Muckross, centre line was all you could really focus on. There's too many wee islands and to navigate. So the captain made the decision of right, we're going out before we go down, and we swam maybe 2.5, 3K off course to give us a straight line to go down course. So that was the idea of that, really, to use the elements to my advantage as much as I could. So the current was with me, wind not so much, but when you're in the water and on the water, it's easier for the swimmer than the people around you, basically, in that scenario.
Absolutely. Unreal effort, that kid. Unbelievable swim.
Yeah, no, I was happy
And
with it.
such a personal a personal thing behind it as well, a very, very
Yeah,
dear and precious thing that was probably driving you on to and pushing you, just
yeah,
bringing you on to a different level.
yeah, yeah,
Amazing stuff. 2025 then saw you go back to a challenge event,
yes.
hoping that this one went a wee bit better now than the
It did
challenge
it well.
Madrid.
Not without its wee hiccup. Just coming off transition. I don't know if you've been to Bulgaria or not.
I
Um,
haven't, not yet, no, but
it's it's a
it's on
it's
my
a
to-do
phenomenal
list.
one to go. It's real good, but the curb coming into transition's quite high, and the legs are a wee bit like jelly. The last sort of 2k of the cycle, and I just didn't pick my feet up and smacked my toe off the curb, and I broke my toe. So um, I haven't had much luck in Spain, to be honest, without breaking something. But honestly, myself and Paddy Murphy from the club and Jude and there was, I don't know, there must have been about 30 from the Tri Club over last year.
There was
Um,
indeed a big crew, yeah.
Big crew, and Connor was there, and you know, it was probably the first time as friends we'd all went to a holiday destination, had real good fun, and fell in love with the place, fell in love with the course. The water was crystal blue, and the cycle pretty fast. I think Mickey Holland clocked about 45 mile an hour or 50 mile an hour down one of them big hills. So he was fairly trucking. Um, but honestly, if you ever get the chance, it's it's so cool of an event. The run is in through the town. People are supporting you. You're darting beside pubs. Um, you know, Paddy unfortunately had an accident fairly, or chain broke on him fairly early on, and the boys were sipping pints, and every time you'd come around, there'd be a bit of banter with them, and
Mhm.
you don't always get that anywhere else with any other club or any group of friends, but everybody was there with the same mentality that it was a holiday. It was real good fun, and the triathlon was in the middle of it, and everything about it was fantastic. Everything about it.
There's a couple of things that really catches my eye. The first one is the swim. I
Yeah,
love the way the swim goes out. Um, it's one out and back, and then you
yeah,
move down the beach and Aussie
yeah.
exits, and then
Aussie exit. Yeah,
you go into the water then a wee bit further down the beach, and you cover essentially a new course out and back. So
yeah, yeah,
it snakes down, as it
yeah,
were.
yeah.
I love that idea, just because it's a wee bit different.
It
Um,
it keeps the triathlon isn't very spectator orientated when you're swimming, so that anything at all that they can do to bring it closer to the people, more enclosed, give that pantheon sort of vibe for the athletes to cheer. It was everything about it was phenomenal. Everything about it was phenomenal.
The other good thing, of course, is for anybody that's a fast swimmer, they don't
Yep.
have to worry about lapping other people. And then the slower
No.
swimmers don't have to worry about getting in the way and all that. So we're all going,
No.
it's a unique trail the
Yeah.
whole way.
Really
The
good
other,
that way. Yeah.
yeah, the other that has really caught my eye is the merch, because the
Yeah.
t-shirt that they get, it looks like something from a heavy metal gig. Like it
I
is
knew
the
you. I knew you
coolest
were gonna
wee
like that T-shirt.
Oh, wee devil horns and all on it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's a mad sort of a vibe about the place. Fireworks and fires and people
Yep.
dressed up as devils, and like a festival sort of a scene, loads of
That is
music, and
exactly it.
it just sounds like a rock concert. It sounds like a weekend away, music, food,
Yep.
fire,
Yep.
throw in a bit of a triathlon as well, and try
Yeah.
not to break your toe in the middle of it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Iron Maiden playing when you come across the finish line too. It was great.
Oh, matey stuff. I have to do that. I will do
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah.
That is a cert. I'm definitely going to do that one.
Good man. Good man.
I want to do the next one
Okay.
as well. Now,
Okay.
the next one, anybody that has ever heard of the escape from Alcatraz will have one of two responses. It will either be, oh, I would love to do that, or
Yep.
why the fuck are you doing that?
Yes.
It's not one where you sit on the fence. You're either in or
No.
you're out. Now,
Yep.
you and I met, we met at James McManus earlier on in the year.
Yep.
You know what? I'll let you tell the story. So You you tell everybody what you told me and James at James McManus. You had just received, I think you had received an email, and there was some
Yeah.
rather unusual
Uh,
instructions that you
so
read to your
there's,
ma.
so there's, you're in the Pacific Ocean. You're at the San Francisco Bay. There's the risk of wildlife in the water. And I'm not talking a trout and a pike. Uh, Sharks are in the water, and you're advised of that throughout the sort of the promoter and the email and getting there and all of that there. So there was a couple of WhatsApp groups, a couple of like official stuff on social media, and one of the things that popped up was sharks in the water. And I was like, "Oh fuck, this is class. This is the adrenaline that I wanted, that I had from the bikes. This is it." And I could see the blood drain from my parents' face when I was so excited chatting about sharks being in the water. Not really in the way, I didn't get it across the way I should have. And there was a few choice words from my parents to go, not a chance. You're fucking mad. Why would you risk getting eaten? Was where they went, and my train of thought was, well, if I don't thrash like a seal and I swim faster than the person behind me, they're going to go for the weaker ones. So fuck it, I'll be grand. I'll get off in the middle of the jump, and hey, whatever bees bees, it'll be, if they eat me, they eat me. It'll be a good enough way to go.
But was there some sort of information, specific information you had to have on your person in the
Oh,
inside of your
I
wetsuit?
sorry.
What was
I
all that about
so
it? Because I remember thinking, Christ, this is nuts.
so I suppose from a couple of point of views. One was in transition, so that they knew that you weren't stealing equipment, but you had to put on your blood type, which you had to put on the inside of your wetsuit somewhere, and your name and your next of kin and just different things wrote, and your race number wrote on the inside of your wetsuit somewhere. And yeah, the running joke was that if a shark took you, then they knew what body part it came from and what athlete it came from. That
On the
was the
body.
that
As
was
long as
kind of the
as lo-
running joke. It made it. It was obviously tongue in cheek for a lot of us. But you could see, even in the wee social media groups that we were in, that you could see a lot of people actually pretty panicked about it. Um, but overall, it was a phenomenal race.
I would have suggested that you would have had to have had that information on one arm and one leg, just in case. Anything I
Aye,
know about sharks is they'll come up and they'll take a wee nibble and they'll go, "No, that's not what I want." So
aye,
if they take the arm or the leg with the information, then
yeah,
sure, Well, I
yeah,
suppose they're relying on
yeah.
you to say, it's
Aye,
it's
it's
the name
me.
Sean Conway. I am number whatever it is."
Yeah.
The
Um,
other thing that you were saying as well, which is quite funny, was I don't know why the fuck they need to do my blood type for, because if I have to take a blood transfusion at sea,
eh,
that's just going to be a mess.
yeah, no, it's not going to it's not going to work. It was quite funny. There was 7 or 8 Irish people doing it. And on the Friday night, without knowing, I never met any of them before, but without knowing, we all ended up at the lifting your race pack at the same time. So we had a lot of fun chatting about that. Some from Wexford, County Down, Newry, different places. So it's definitely a bucket list event for anybody that's a very good cyclist. Very hilly course. Uh, the run is an absolute nightmare. Um, Trail running across the beach for 6 mile. And they have a thing called the sand ladder, and it's 219 steps of absolute hell, to be honest. But the swim was probably the best bit, to have Alcatraz in the background, jump off the boat. Yes, the boat drifts, the current's there. It's a very strong current. We swam nearly a mile further than what we should have, but um, honestly, it's phenomenal backdrop. The only thing that I would say that was a negative is transition from getting out of the water to T2 to transition. It's the best part of 3/4 of a mile. So it is. So um, that's the only bit that if they could shorten that, it would be great. But the day before the T100 was there, you got to see some of the best athletes in the world tackle it, and you were just in awe because they're with the way the undulating ground is. Even for us, mere dickheads on bicycles, you were catching air, you were jumping, you were gathering that much speed, you were jumping some of the rollers. So to see the pros do it still tucked was a sight to be seen. It was a really great event.
And these are the sort of streets in the hills that we would have seen from all them old cop movies
Yep,
in the
yep,
70s and all that, the cars flying over the edge, all that
yep,
sort of stuff.
yep, yep.
Um,
Um, she went out to
balls of
Richmond, up
steel
into
to be
Golden
going down
State
that.
Park. Yeah, oh, it's phenomenal, phenomenal. I don't know what, to be honest, I didn't get a chance to look at my speed coming down them, but somewhere in and around the sort of 85k in some places you might have been getting, but um, just coming up them hills, there was one peaked out at like 28% or something. So you're
Immensely.
you're you're sucking air from your ass just to blow it up, to be honest. And there wasn't too many that didn't get off their bike to you just needed that few seconds of rest before you'd tackle it again, you know.
Yeah, if the sharks don't get you, the hills will then in
Definitely. The
Alcatraz.
hills were there regardless of the sharks.
Mm. I want to have a chat to you now just about Fear the Turtle
Yep.
and about the ethos behind your coaching and what you do and why you do it and how you do it, etc., etc. So if people need a bit of advice or if they want to get in touch, well, how does the whole thing work?
We brought Fear the Turtle to life really for the people. Really, I know that sounds a bit cliche, but I got a lot of support, free advice from ones in the Omagh Tri Club, Liam and GT and Sean and other people, Connor, and they willingly give the information and advice to me for free. I wanted to bring that wee bit back to Fermanagh, steal a wee bit of that out of Tyrone and bring it back home. And give people the guidance that they might not necessarily get if it was a big club. They might get lost in numbers. And it was more about leaving it affordable. Triathlon as a sport can be very expensive for people. So I wanted to take the cost of coaching out of it, and we left it that it was £1 a session per person all the time. And that hasn't changed from the day we started to now. And I don't want it to change. To me, it's not about the money. It's not a business really. This is a hobby that I really enjoy, that I'm really passionate about, and I want people to have fun. We have two ends of the scale. We have people that are just starting triathlon, and then we have people like Conor McGuire that was at Ironman Nice for the World Championships. We have other people going to Ironman Barcelona, and to see them both achieve their goals, even though they're at different end of the scale, they're still giving their all for it. Triathlon should be fun. It shouldn't be a job, and it shouldn't feel like a job. And that's kind of what I wanted to bring with Fear the Turtle, that it was a bit of a community spirit, a bit of crack. Yes, get a bit of coaching and guidance, get your sessions in, but do it with a bit of a smile on your face and not have it feel like you're trying to train with Lucy Charles Barkley or Sam Laidlow or somebody like that there.
Do you think there's a lot of people that do get caught up
Oh,
in
100%.
triathlon and set
100%.
themselves up for really, really challenging times and push themselves? I'm thinking about a person, and I'll not name the person, but I know of a person who did a triathlon and did very, very well in the triathlon. And whenever I asked the question, well, did you enjoy it? Did you enjoy your experience?
Yeah,
The answer was, I enjoyed finishing it, but I had to put my life on hold for a year for that moment. Where
yeah,
this particular person had decided, I'm going to go big. I'm going to go for a 140.6.
Yeah,
And that became everything then. So they pushed and pushed and pushed, and they were nearly obsessive about it.
yep.
What's your views on that?
It's horses for courses. If that's how they want to do it, fine. For me, triathlon is fun. Triathlon has to be fun. You have to enjoy all aspects of it. You know, every every puncture, every blister, everything, every aspect of it. And if you treat it and put it on a pedestal and you don't achieve that, even though it's a fantastic time, you've got your medal, you've knocked it out of the park. If you still don't feel happy that you've achieved something that very few people, let's be honest, yes, it's got popular, but not everybody in the world's done a triathlon or a 140.6. You're in a very minority. You're in the minority of people that have done it. You should be proud of that. You should be shouting that from the rooftops.
Mm.
I've done it. I can, and mentally you've done it. But if your first thought is, fuck, I didn't enjoy that, well then, if that's for you, fair enough. That's not for me. I want to go, fuck, I had great crack. I was chatting to a man from Colombia or Ecuador or fucking Norway, and we had a right laugh going round on the bike. And sure, I give him a can of Coke when we were, things like that there were,
Mhm.
yes, it's still competitive, but you can still be competitive and do it with a smile on your face.
Oh, totally, totally. I think I subscribe to the Sean Conway approach to triathlon. I think what you say there is very valid, because if you can somehow manage to enjoy it, and there are times where you have to endure it,
Yeah,
yes. But if overall you can enjoy it, you're going to give yourself a better chance of sticking it at it,
yeah, yeah,
and maintaining a good healthy lifestyle,
yeah.
and keeping the old ticker going in the right direction. As there's none of us getting any younger, like
No,
so.
no,
I think enjoyment has to be
yeah,
key for me anyway. Um,
yeah.
do you do any of the online coaching, Sean, or is it face to face, or is there a bit of do you
We
use
do,
technology or what?
I do use technology for some of it. I've friends and family that have took plans in there in New Zealand and Australia and America. Um, in person, obviously, is a lot better, but you work and you deal with what you have. Strava has been a fantastic tool. My Training Peaks, all there's a lot of software available that you can help and assist people, and I do that. Um, the bike box thing is something that's took off as well, but training wise, you'd still have a core group there of really, really good athletes every evening or every week. You'd have 20 people, say, in the week between the cycling, the swimming, and the running, and it's a real good clique of people from all different abilities, and that's where I get my enjoyment from coaching. I'm still doing it with them, so the coaching is still part of it, but yeah, it's more in-person stuff is where I want to put most of my focus.
Where might we see Sean Conway lining up then? Anything in the pipeline for the rest of the year, Sean? Or are you in a position to give us any inside information
Uh,
for any big
the,
wacky plans for next year? Or
the
where are we
inside
sitting?
scoop. Next year, I'll not talk about next year yet. I've
Right,
one
okay.
race. I've two races that I would love to get me teeth into. Both are ballots. So I'll not know yet. This year, for the rest of this year, I have Triathlon, I have Mullaghmore, and I have the small challenge of attempting the Venice Marathon.
Brilliant. And that'll wrap up your year rightly. When's Venice? It's late on, isn't it?
It's same weekend as Dublin, so
Huh.
if you can believe it, that going to Venice for a few days is cheaper than Dublin for a weekend. That's kind of tells you all you need to know about how I feel about the Dublin Marathon. I've
Mhm.
done it a couple of times. I don't need to do it again. And going to a different country to experience a different event is kind of my thing.
It makes sense. It's certainly getting no cheaper to go to Dublin. That's a fact.
No, no,
Sean, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast, for
appreciate it,
sharing the
Mickey.
journey, the highs, lows, bangs, wallops, and thumps, and
Yeah,
everything in between. A great
appreciate it.
sport and a great chatting to you. All the very best. I'm going to pop some information into the podcast description for anybody that wants to get in touch for a bit of coaching,
Sure.
or anybody that just wants to reach out and get a wee bit
Yeah,
of advice.
can do. Appreciate your time, Mickey. Thanks for having me on.